Let's get it.
We'll kind of get a natural intro, but we're rolling. We're live. So, and I'll just edit the beginning out. Any confessions you want to make before we get going?
Um, no, actually, no.
All right,
I
brother.
feel clean
Thank you, bro.
now,
Um,
at least.
all right. Well, we'll get started. So, welcome to Revamp Financial, where we talk all things health, wealth, and self. Today, I want to start with something that's been on a lot of people's minds. It's the real estate market. If you're like most Gen Z and millennials, buyers right now, you've probably felt like you're getting a sting from trying to purchase a home in today's market. I know you're probably seeing a lot of that. And interest rates are higher than they've ever been. Housing prices keep climbing, and compared to past generations, affordability has never felt more out of reach. But the cool thing is, there's a twist. While the struggle is real, there's also opportunities right now. Specifically, we're in Southern California, so it's even harder in this market. But there are opportunities where you can still make home ownership easier than people realize. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And that's also why I invited my guest here today. We have Mark Rogel. He's with Pack Realty, and I'll let you do the rest, man.
Yeah, for sure. No, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. When you presented this opportunity, I think I was like a little bit nervous, but knowing you for a while now, it's beautiful to be here and have this opportunity to talk to your audience, right, about this. And so I'm excited. Let's do it.
Yes, sir, man. I'm excited, man. We actually go back to Chase days.
Mhm. Yeah.
So we were out at Chase Bank in Sierra Lakes. Shout out. I probably well, maybe we'll blurt that out because we don't want to. We're gonna have some tea about them, right?
Nah, I
I'm
don't
just
got
kidding.
nothing.
All right, man. Well, yeah, first and foremost, man. So you're in real estate. You're with Pack. You're based here in Southern California. I know you work with clients all over the place from the high desert, Inland Empire. You help a lot of first time home buyers, but you also represent sellers.
Mhm.
And um, first and foremost, man, like what's been your experience? What have you been feeling in this market as of right now? What are some of the fears, the challenges, and then, some of the creative solutions you guys have been coming up with?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great question. I think for certain perspectives, right? Whether you are an agent or whether you are, someone on the fence of buying a house, I think it's obviously a little bit different. For agents and lenders and people in the business, I think this year for a lot of us has been a challenge. For many people has been a challenge in comparison to other years. But in all reality, maybe it's because of my lack of tenure, right? I've been doing this for 3 years now, but I truly adapted the mind frame, the mindset that business as a realtor, as a lender is always out there. It's
Right.
always available, and it's always a result of two things, right? One is your ability to connect with people. How many people are you touching on a consistent basis? And two is the solutions or the value you're able to provide to people.
100%.
So luckily and fortunately, I've done very well. Recently, I don't see a drop, at least in my market, you could say. But naturally, I think for a lot of people who are on the other side, which are buyers, there's that kind of hesitation. And hesitation is pretty normal when we don't see movement. But what I've realized and noticed is that even today, there's opportunities out there.
Right.
There's opportunities for sure.
And so you're based in Southern California. You're with Pack Realty.
Mhm.
How long you been doing real estate for? Like, what kind of drew you to real estate? How did you end up there?
Yeah, no, it's funny you say that. So yeah, with Pack is a real estate brokerage there in Rancho Cucamonga. Essentially I'm kind of like a part of that founding crew that really started Pack with Anthony and some of the other guys that are pillars now for that company. When Pack started, I was a brand new agent, which was about 3 years ago. I had almost nothing, really going on for me as far as the real estate space. I didn't really have the background. No, I did not have the background, nothing like that. But what really got me into this space, I think, was honestly the grace of God. I had graduated college. I was at Chase with
Amen,
you,
bro.
and I was kind of in a position where I was like, man, what do I really want to do with my life? And the opportunity to do real estate was there. To be honest, I didn't even know what it was. And so as I got into the space, luckily I dropped into like the office where Anthony was at and the whole core crew was at,
Right.
and that kind of I guess encouraged me to be like, okay, man, these people do really well. Like they look like they do well for themselves, their family, and
Yeah.
that shit inspired me. I rolled from there.
Yeah, man. You saw the money and
Well, yeah, I
the
mean, the money, the
lifestyle.
success, the
Yeah.
freedom. I mean, freedom is such a funny word in this business, but freedom in the aspect of, dude, we were working, we were fucking only talking during lunch and stuff. Sorry if I cuss, but we were only
All good.
talking during lunch and stuff. Like other than that, what freedom did we have outside of a 9 to 5?
Well, no, you don't. And that's the point. Like I think most people like in this day and age, they want to start their businesses, but they're kind of like afraid. They either feel like they're going to be living like they see it, right? They
Mm-hmm,
see people that are working as entrepreneurs. I'm a financial planner by
mm-hmm,
trade, right? I'm an entrepreneur by heart as well. You're a real estate agent.
mm-hmm,
And even though we're professionals, we're also business owners.
mm-hmm,
And when you're a business owner, you have a lot of freedom, but that also comes at a cost. And that cost is where is your time and energy and effort being spent?
mm-hmm,
And if the answer isn't in your business, then your business isn't going to be thriving as much.
mm-hmm.
And most people want that work life balance. Like that's where the employment, I guess, mindset can come in. But I still think that you can have that. But there's some years that you have to sacrifice as an entrepreneur to be able to get there.
Absolutely.
If you really want to make that jump, but the opportunities are there. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And you're living, breathing proof of that.
Mm-hmm.
You're living it now. You're absolutely crushing it in real estate, man. Like, um, tell me a little bit about your insight. So, what about your insight specifically to homeowners that are struggling with affordability? What are some of the key things that you're advising those kinds of clients right now who are struggling with just affording a house right now? What are some of those things that you're adding to their repertoire of knowledge to help them be able to make better decisions?
Yeah, well, I think when it comes to helping homeowners, specifically people that are planning to buy a house, it starts with assessing where they're at. A lot of the times, maybe now might not be the opportunity for them. However, with preparation, with time, with the right information that they need to create a plan, more importantly, to buy a house, whether that be in a few months or in a year, that usually helps most of the homeowners actually take that leap of faith with some confidence.
Right.
And so what I end up finding out from most of the people I work with is that they lack the knowledge, whether that be from whoever they knew that was in real estate that didn't give them what they needed, or maybe sometimes it's just the fear, right, of even asking those questions. But it's
Big one.
I like to think that most people can qualify. It just takes time, whether they're ready now or in a year, and it's really simple. It's more simpler than we think, but just giving yourself the opportunity to know what it takes to do, I think that in itself is something that stops a lot of people from even starting
And those clients that
that.
aren't ready now, but are maybe ready in 6, 9 months to 18 months, I run into those all the time.
Mm-hmm,
And our practice with what we do in our business is we've kind of developed a very unique strategy at Revamp Financial where we basically have like a way to service a client from a business sense in any kind of capacity, whether they're
mm-hmm,
just getting started, whether they're already ready for the loan, or whether they've already bought their house and now they need to talk about selling or liquidating or doing some stuff to be
sure,
able to make some changes.
mm-hmm,
But in your business, right, it's very transaction heavy. Like you
mm-hmm,
have to produce in this business,
of
and
course.
your energy has to go towards those individuals that are ready sooner.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the things that you do for those clients that are maybe 12 or 18 months out to help get them ready?
Well, yeah, no, that's a great question, and I think one of the biggest pieces of advice that I got, starting in this business, is that if I'm just looking for now business, I'm not actually creating a business. At that
Thousand
point,
percent.
I'm chasing a check, I'm chasing a transaction, and as a result, my energy is even going to flow that way. I'm going to be more stressed. I'm going to feel more anxious about where my next deal coming from. I'm going to have a lot of doubt as to whether or not I'm in this business rather
Make
than
that
actually
real.
creating something. And so you mentioned a point that in this business, sacrifice is necessary. And I think with any business, sacrifice will be necessary to some success for anyone. But more than anything, you create nurturing campaigns. If it's credit, right? We work on their credit within a span of time. If
Absolutely.
it's down payment, you let them know a number, a figure that they need to kind of target, right? Budget for and stuff like that. And so simple things like that make all the difference.
Yeah.
All the difference. It's just the proper information, the proper plan, and more than anything, creating a campaign within your own business to be able to follow up with these people, see if they're on track, and create a plan that's sustainable for that.
I love that, man. What's your biggest why in helping people buy and sell in real estate?
Well, I just think that with real estate and helping buy and helping people sell, I think my
Sorry,
biggest
you got cut
yeah.
off. Fuck.
Mm-hmm.
I just plugged in this laptop. I forgot.
Just turned off or what?
Yeah, because when it's not plugged in, it turns off. Gee. Oh, there we go. going in, bro.
I know it's good.
Technical difficulties. Oh, we're still rolling.
All right, let's run it.
So we'll pause it. I guess. Oh, I guess we'll just continue on from it.
Yeah, just cut
But
it.
now, but now we're plugged in. Let me just make sure my settings are set. Do you know how to make it to where it doesn't turn off when it's has
Your
the?
screen? No,
I think it's on display.
it won't turn off though, right? It's just the screen time. Like
Oh, I guess I see what you're saying. So
the
since it
recording will
didn't
still
turn
go
off,
off.
we're still good. All right. Well, we'll kind of just jump right back into it. You were diving into why. Uh, so like, what's your biggest why in helping people buy and sell homes?
Well, I think naturally the right answer, the politically correct answer, is helping people accomplish the goal, right, of home ownership,
Oh, but we ain't a
stuff like
politically
that,
correct
right?
podcast. We're here to keep it real,
Okay,
man.
well, just to keep it real, I think it's more so about finding a solution to people's issue, dude.
Yeah.
If they're selling a house, like, why are they selling a house? What's important to them about selling a house? Finding a true motivation to do something.
Right.
This is not a business, and hopefully for the audience, if you have realtors here, this is not a business where you convince someone to do anything, ever, ever, ever. This is, you're not selling real estate. Selling real estate, it means I'm going to a house, I'm telling them this is the kitchen, this is the bathroom, this is the backyard. We're not selling real estate. We're
Yeah.
selling people on their motivation. Why are they buying real estate? What's important to them about buying real estate? What does buying this house, what's that going to do for you? What's that going to do for your family?
Yeah.
And as a result of you accomplishing this, what is that going to do for your future family? Stuff like that, deeper stuff. And I think that's what makes all the difference when you sell real estate.
Yeah, you're going from a transactional mindset, which real estate has always heavily been, to a consultative one.
Mm-hmm.
And with AI, with the changes of just where the world's headed, transactions have never been easier.
Mm-hmm.
They're moving into a different direction, at
Mm-hmm.
least for certain individuals. But
Mm-hmm.
I think having that consultative approach, having an advisor
Mm-hmm.
that's going to advise you, because this is the biggest asset that you're going to probably own ever in your life.
Yeah.
Um, that's everything, you know. How many licensed realtors are there now? I mean, there's like, I mean, I don't have the
Couldn't
data in
couldn't
front of me,
answer that for you.
but it's a lot. In the mortgage space, we lost. I think there was like 350,000 licensed loan originators in the United States at the end of 22.
Mm-hmm.
This year, it's a little less than 100,000.
Damn.
So in two
Yeah,
years,
it's a lot. I mean, I'd assume it's the same in our space for sure.
and you see
Yeah.
that, and what's interesting to me is like the strong survive. They always
Mm-hmm.
will. Like we say we're in a tough market, but like there is opportunity out there.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to be able to be that true advisor,
Mm-hmm.
not the guy that is, maybe doing one transaction every 6 months because he has free time. No offense to those individuals, but like if you're somebody that's looking to buy in real estate or looking to transact,
Mm-hmm.
you really want somebody in your corner that like knows their shit,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and is going to be able to help negotiate and be able to advise you on, hey, here's what I want. I want a duplex. I want to be able to rent this out. Is the market even going to be good for that?
Mm-hmm.
And then setting those clear expectations. Hey, bro, right now it's not, but if you wait and you do make this investment and then you follow these steps, here's how you get there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's not enough people doing that. So, what excites you about working in this current market? Like, is there anything that you're particularly fired up about, bro?
Dude, I reiterate the question. I don't know what market this is. I know my market. I
Mm,
know that I have full control of my market, what I'm able to produce. And I think, like in any business that you are in, especially in this business, you need to find yourself opportunities, adapt to those new ways of doing business, and pivot if you're not in the position where you're not creating business. If you're not creating business, there's a reason for
I appreciate that answer, man. And I'm glad you said you're not sure what market. Allow me to illuminate some
it.
data points
Yeah, go
because I'm
ahead.
a, I'm a math guy
Go
and I
ahead,
love math.
please.
And let's talk about some data points. So right now in California, the median home price is about 900,000 as of 2025.
Mm-hmm.
This is compared to 120,000 from 1980s. Now we're talking about 40 years. Inflation adjusted, that's still 3x of an increase. So the real estate market has been booming, especially in California. You hear a lot of the boomers talk about, hey guys, like, we just had to work hard and put our foot down and just go work and we were able to buy a
Yeah,
house.
yeah. Hmm.
And you hear that conversation, but boomers were buying houses that were, $100,000 or less.
Hmm.
And now they're worth millions. And
Sure.
so how do you kind of like, to your point, that
Hmm.
market, right? That's the
Hmm.
market that I'm talking about, is the market that 40 years ago, the average buyer was about 26, 27 years old. Today, the average buyer is 50.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
And so you're seeing a change of, hey, the establishment of the home. Really, the American dream was based off home ownership.
Hmm.
That's really what the story was all about. Buy a home, get your white picket fence, live that. That's not for everybody, but that was the idea when you came to America, was to come in and accomplish that.
Okay.
You see that nowadays where you have people working more than ever, right? We got like 5 side hustles, and home ownership has gotten harder. When it comes to like that price ratio, I like to really give like real numbers in terms of inflation, because what doesn't do justice right now is that even though in the 80s 18% interest rates were the norm, you got to also keep in mind that bank accounts also paid that. So wealth was a lot simpler back then, even though inflation was increasing. To nowadays, like the only real way to make wealth is either acquire real estate, invest in markets, or build a business, build enterprise value.
Hmm.
Your dollar's losing more and more value every single day, and so this is why like I'm a big fan of real estate, because real estate to me is like not only an appreciating asset, but it's also a hedge against inflation.
Hmm.
In this market right now, where you're seeing the average buyer 50 plus years old,
Hmm.
and instead of the 26, 27, 28-year old,
Hmm.
what are some of the things that like you're looking at? Like you talk a lot about like, hey, how can we assess the situation and improve that?
Hmm.
Is there ever clients where you're just like straight up like, hey, this is the market. Like, if you want to be able to buy real estate or
Hmm.
invest in real estate or be
Hmm.
able to do these things, you just got to up that income. Like, what?
Yeah. I mean, that's easy to say, of course. Yeah. Yeah.
But like, how do you have that conversation with someone? Because we have those conversations all the time.
Hmm.
I tell a lot of people like, before you invest in anything else, you have to invest in yourself.
Okay.
Like
Good. Good.
everyone wants to
I
buy
feel
real
you.
estate, everyone wants to buy stocks,
Hmm.
but it's like the biggest ROR is not going to be that. Like if you can save 3 grand a month and put that into an investment fund, yeah, that's going to do
Hmm.
well for you,
Hmm.
or put that in real estate.
Hmm.
But if you can 2x your income or 3x your income by improving your skill set, I think that's the big difference. And like it's hustle culture, we're living in that environment now.
Hmm.
But like I feel like as these kinds of consultants and professionals, as you start to dwindle down into the market, and like even though there's a lot of people still wanting to buy,
Hmm.
there's also a lot of people that are just left on the sidelines. And so I created this podcast because I want to be able to influence more individuals to realize that there's a way to do it.
Hmm.
But like, how are you having those conversations? Like, what's your experience with individuals that are like on the fence, or they're like our age, right? 26, 27, 28 years
Hmm.
old. And maybe their income isn't there yet. What are some of the conversations that you're having with those kinds of individuals who really want to buy in real estate,
Hmm.
want to invest, want to do those things, but they're just priced out?
When they're priced out. Yeah, I mean, I think you made the number one point. Any investment, before you even make an investment, it needs to be on yourself.
Yeah.
That is the biggest investment you can make, is on yourself. And I know it sounds so, is cliche the right word? Where it sounds so repetitive,
Yep.
right? When you hear that, but it's truly what it is, because I'm a true believer that your outer world, your ability to have the military power, the money to be able to go out there and purchase things and have nice things in life, is always a mirror reflection of what's going on in your inner world.
Mm.
And so if we show up every day, we can't lie about it. Sometimes there's evident things that are not reflective upon our lifestyles, and that's, you know how do we treat ourselves, how do we treat our health, how do we treat our family? How do we treat our spirituality? How do we treat love, relationships, stuff like that? And I know I'm kind of going out of the topic here based on the numbers inside of things, but I'm a true believer that you are always a mere reflection of the value you provide to the world.
Yep.
And there's only one way to fix that. Only one way to fix that.
So,
It's within yourself.
100%.
Yeah.
I love that. I
Hmm.
agree with that a ton. And that's a message that I think needs to get addressed, because let's talk through more data points here. In 1980, home prices income ratios were 3 to 1. We talked about that. Today it's 8.1.
Hmm.
So in terms of like price to income, you were typically 3 to 1 versus 8 to 1. That's like a 300% difference,
Mm-hmm.
and that's in California. We're
Mm-hmm.
obviously talking about that. Keep in mind rates were in the 18s. Now today they're between 6.5 and 5, and rates just came down, guys. So definitely talk to your licensed loan originator who can give some more context on that. Um, right now it feels like but historically we're below the average. So in terms of like rates, I don't think rates should really be a big like thing holding somebody back,
Mm-hmm.
because rates are the thing is you can date the rate, but you marry the home.
Mm-hmm.
And so, to me right now is a good opportunity, especially if rates are trending downward. But Gen Zs and millennials, they have high record student debt. They're making savings payments harder than ever before. Rents have climbed 30% in the last decade. People pushing towards ownership despite affordability issues are trying. Baby boomers own 38% of the market,
Mm-hmm.
and millennials own 4.
Okay.
And then surveys show that 70% of buyers right now feel discouraged, but 80% still say that home ownership is a top financial goal. So there's a disconnect. People are discouraged, but yet they want to buy homes.
Okay.
And so that mindset thing, right? That
Mm-hmm.
conversation that you just mentioned, that whole idea of, is this thing moving on itself?
Yeah.
That whole idea of getting your mindset right. Like I'm a big proponent of that, man. Like I want to see more people do that. I want to see more people win, not only financially, but also win emotionally, spiritually, right? In all the areas of life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very hard for somebody to feel secure unless they feel secure financially, because we live in a world where literally like a $500 emergency can make you go
Mm-hmm.
into debt.
Mm-hmm.
And specifically in the real estate market, what are some things that individuals can start to prepare themselves for if they want to start building wealth in real estate?
Mm-hmm.
And they, let's say they already have the income, right? They're making money,
Mm-hmm.
they're making six figures, they're doing
Mm-hmm.
well, they can acquire property in California, but they're looking at it, they're like, okay, I'm gonna spend $5,000 a month on the home that I want.
Mm-hmm.
But what would be the smarter play for somebody in that position where they're looking at real estate as more of an asset rather than a home?
Mm-hmm.
What is your advice for somebody that's sitting in that situation that wants to move that wealth needle for themselves,
Mm-hmm.
but doesn't really know the right way to do it?
Okay. In terms of what they should do with their money.
Yeah, like are you advising somebody to, like, in that position, right? If they want to build wealth, if they, let's say they want to buy a duplex,
Mm-hmm.
are you advising somebody to go that route if it makes sense for them? Is
If it
it
makes sense, yeah. But I truly feel wealth starts with the foundation you have set, what your blueprint looks like for
Mhm.
wealth. Okay. And I share this example with a lot of the people that I work with, right? Because in this space, we too are learning
right?
how to, build wealth, how to invest, how to do stuff like that, right? Nobody's a professional at that. But I can share with you if your wealth blueprint is telling you that if you make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year and you could easily be saving $10,000 $15,000 a month, but you're spending that money's ghost by the time the year comes to an end.
Yeah.
What makes you think that if you made even more money, you're going to have that savings that you're looking for? Well, you're going to have the ability to do X, Y, and Z. It starts with your blueprint. It doesn't matter if you're making $50,000 a year and being able to budget $1,000 or $2,000 a month. If you can do that, then you can do that with 100, 200, 300, whatever you're at, $1,000,000. But if your blueprint tells you that I'm making 50,000, I spend 50,000, then even if you make 250,000, you're gonna be left with nothing.
Hmm.
So it's really not about how much money you make or how much money you have to play with. It's about what do you know with the money you have? What do you do with that? What does that look like?
Yeah.
What did you learn
Right.
when you were growing up? What did that look like? What habits do we have? How do we think of money? Do we stress about money? You stress about something, you're gonna get that back.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna get stressed back.
100%.
That's what I think. So establishing a healthy blueprint first allows you to make smarter choices when you make investments.
I
For
love
sure.
that, man. And I'm a big believer of that, right? Like people, I advise that with my own clients.
Mm-hmm.
But like the biggest thing I think for a lot of people is the discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Like they know where they need to make some changes,
Mm-hmm.
but they have the struggle of staying disciplined on those things
Mm-hmm.
that are going to help them move the needle, and then also staying grounded. Like, hey, it's hard, right?
Mm-hmm.
I see somebody else, they just bought a house, somebody in a
Yeah.
different position, right? Social media, this guy just bought a Rolls Royce, right? We know like
Yeah. Yeah.
a lifestyle, it's
Mm-hmm.
like pulling you, right? We live in
Mm-hmm.
a world where it's like consumption, consumption,
Mm-hmm.
but we also know to a certain degree that's not real life, right? Life isn't that. So, what are some of the things that you tell your clients to stay grounded and help them from putting themselves in a position of chasing something that might not ever really be attainable.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got to ask yourself why you're doing something in the first place. If
Yep.
you're doing it to prove a point, if you're doing it to follow what somebody did, then you're already off to the wrong track. You got to do things for yourself. You got to do things what's meant for you, and you got to trust your own process. Because if somebody that maybe is in the same line of work as a client, right, same line of work, and they just bought a house, that may or may not have been the right decision for them. It might have been, right? But that doesn't mean that you have to go and then buy a house. It might not make sense for you.
Yep.
It might not, right? And so you got to assess where you're at, what makes sense for you, and then be able to make a decision on when to do it. It's always case by case. It's never the same situation for any client.
How heavy would you say you are on data versus on emotion?
On data versus emotion, that's a great question. I would say that I'm like 50-50 on that. Yeah.
Okay, so you definitely go half and half,
Yeah.
and you adapt based off the client.
Yeah, because if we always went off data, then we're never really trusting ourselves.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I'm a data heavy guy.
Oh, I know.
So like I'm 90% data all the time. And I think my biggest Achilles heel in my business has always been trying to understand the emotional side of clients. And for me, like the biggest struggle is trying to help them understand that like help sorry, not help them. The biggest struggle that I have is understanding what holds people back when the numbers are clear. Like I'll give you an example. I have a specific case that I'm working with right now. 7.25% interest rate. Bought the home in November of last year. We looked at the numbers. We actually had a pricing improvement during this timeline where pricing was actually better than it was today. This was like a month ago. And his rate was going to drop from a 7.125 all the way down to a 5.85. Payment was going to be $500 less. He was going to skip 2 payments. And after 12 months, if we just mathed it all out for a 12-month period from the moment he refied to a year from now, he would have saved roughly $11,000. So he would have put $11,000 in his pocket after accounting for closing costs, everything. And I was like, when can we do this? When can we sign? And I got the response. It's like, oh, right now is not a good time. Like, what's holding you back? He's like, well, rates are coming down. So I want to wait to see if rates come down further. I was like, okay, well, I gave him my historical data. Rates have been trending downward, but that doesn't always mean that rates realistically fall. When do you see yourself potentially refinancing? Because I want to get him on a timeline. And he was like, maybe like 6 months from now to a year. And I just showed him the math. I was like, okay, for every month that you don't refinance, what's that costing you in your pocket? $500 more. Because that's the rate difference just in cost of interest rate. And like after that whole conversation, like I uncovered some things of like the past agent that they worked with. It sounded like they had a bad taste in their mouth. Sounds like they did some shady shit because they did have a higher rate for what they should have had. Like I think if they would have worked with me, their rate would have been like 6.7 or 6.8. But they gave them a 7.2 with their scenario was like didn't make sense to me. And I think they caught on to that and they were upset. And he had that blockage of like I can't move forward because it had nothing to do with me. It had everything to do with the idea that he didn't want to get burned again. And to me, that's hard to understand because I'm a very logical person.
Sure.
The logic and the numbers are there. I'm not burning you because I'm showing you the data. I'm showing you the numbers. I'm literally giving you like I'm pulling my pants down and showing you, right? But for some reason that didn't move the needle, and it didn't change me because I'm still gonna be logical. But I think in a world of emotion and of people, for somebody like myself, like I definitely struggle with understanding that emotional side of what stops humans from making good decisions. And here's my point with this. I believe everyone can be wealthy. I'm a big believer anybody can be wealthy. Anybody can build wealth. And literally here are the 5 steps that you need, right? Set up this account, save 20% of your income, put your money away here, be disciplined, invest in this market, buy real estate this way, and literally in 20 years you're a millionaire. But yet most of us don't get there. And I'm trying to understand like what for you, like you understand a lot about emotional intelligence and those things from people and their perspective. What is the thing that you feel like can help get a message like that across to an individual But to help them be able to make that decision and do the things that the data says to do, why do you feel like they're so hesitant, and what do you feel like can actually help people move towards that? I know it's a hard question, but
Mhm.
like these are some of the things that I want to get down to the crux of like why we have this big wealth gap.
Yeah, well, I mean, with sales as a whole, right? With the ability to get clients in this case, right? To help a client make a rational decision. I think as a whole, people need to buy into you before they buy from anything that comes out of you, right?
Right.
It can sound like the best thing in the world, but if they're not bought into you, they're not buying anything, even if it made sense, like in this case.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things that I really stress on myself when I meet clients, it's like, yeah, I mean, I could see you as a transaction. You could have the perfect client, right? The 250K, 20% down, perfect credit score,
Yeah.
whatever.
Beautiful.
But if these people don't buy into me, then I don't have anything. I don't have a client. And so it's about understanding them. It's about asking them questions. It's about finding out their motivation. It's about asking them, what that's going like why that conversation even start in the first place. You got to ask yourself that question too, right? So think about it. If you just mentioned that they had an experience and the experience wasn't an amazing experience, I think numbers at this point isn't going to prove to them nothing. I think more so we need to tap into what's actually important for them, is building that rapport with that client and understanding their situation and being, I guess, being side to side with them is what I tell people all the time.
Mm.
When we help somebody, a lot of the times we get taught, it's like, here, we're spitting info, they're spitting info back. And that's the worst way to do sales is when you have physically two people just spitting something back. Oh, okay, but this is the right thing to do. Boom, here's this data. Boom, I don't want to do this. Boom, instead of like this. Let's have a conversation. Let's look at this together so that you can decide what's best for you, and I'll cater to that.
Mm.
That's always the way that sales is going to work. I cater to what you're looking to get. And a better question, instead of just spitting data to him, I would have asked him, okay, well, tell me what, if he's an analytical, right? An analytical guy, he wants to know what the numbers look like. You got to ask the guy, like, number wise, what does that look like for you? Or this would make sense.
Yeah.
And then if that's what it is, then you shoot him the number. And if the number doesn't make sense, then it's nothing.
Yeah, and what's crazier to me is I asked that question too. I was like, "Hey, let's like what do you feel like you need to be at?" And he gave me his number, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
some unrealistic number.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "We want to be in the threes." And I was
Okay.
like, "Understood, totally got it," because he has friends, family that are
Sure.
in those rates. Um, and then when I told him, I was like, "But do you think that from going from a 7.2 to a 5.875 is good, right?" And he said no. He's like, "Oh, I don't feel like that's enough savings." You and I know in this market, right? We're the experts. We understand numbers and we understand that like most people are happy with a quarter basis point saved on their rate.
Mm-hmm.
Going from a 6.7 to 6.5, people will take that all day long. This to me was like an exaggerated jump. Like I don't think I've ever had a scenario where it's this big of a gap,
Mm-hmm.
because rates are still trending downward. And it's like to me it was very hard to understand why somebody would stop themselves from doing that. Like why? And I asked, hey, I understood. Hey, if there's something about trust, I get that. I'm here. Like I don't want to force you to do this. I've never been somebody to push it. And you use the word sales. Like I don't use that word. I built Revamp Financial to be a consulting, financial consulting place where you can come and get advice. Whether you do business with that or not is irrelevant, right? It's about getting the education out there and then having the resources to be able to provide the stuff that we can do in house, and then the other stuff we refer out. Like, have you ever had a situation like that, first off, where you had somebody that was just like super stuck on something emotionally blocking them and the situation just made total sense? And like, what is something that you did to handle that?
Honestly, no, I've had clients who have the picture perfect scenario. It makes sense for them to buy a house. It makes sense for them to do something, but they decided not to do it, and that's just what it is. You just have to keep it rolling at that point, because they can be they can be qualified, but are they motivated? They're not motivated, then you don't have nothing. For some people, they want to sell a house for a certain price. They can get the price, and then all of a sudden they don't want that price no more. They want a little bit more. Well, they're not motivated. Are they only price motivated, or is there actually something underlying that's allowing them to
Exactly.
move?
Exactly.
Because if you're just price motivated or number motivated, then that's not a real person you can help.
100%. I think we have different businesses for sure too. It's
Mm-hmm.
like my business is very focused on like improving the financial scenario.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very data driven. It's very numbers driven.
Mm-hmm.
Real estate's definitely more of an emotional purchase, but nonetheless, they're both financial decisions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're investing, whether you're doing a loan, whether you're buying insurance, whatever you're doing, it's all financially related. You're
Mm-hmm.
doing it to improve your financial health. And we actually use this data where we look at like a chart and we
Mm-hmm.
gather all their data,
Mm-hmm.
and it literally is like the same way you go to the doctor and they look at your cholesterol and your blood sugar level and your bone density and all that stuff. We have the same way to do that, but with their finances,
Mm-hmm.
and it's data driven. And I've noticed that there's people that love that. Like I get the type of client that's like me. It's like,
Yeah.
oh my god, dude, this is the best thing since sliced bread. I love this.
Yeah.
I wanna work with you.
Mm-hmm.
And those are my favorite clients, right? Like
Of course.
doctors, the
Yeah.
dentists, like these are the best because they're all about the numbers,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm all about. Like I
Uh-huh.
don't care about your emotions. Sad to say, I want to help you improve quantitatively when it comes to the financial business.
Mm-hmm.
But I started this podcast because I understand that there's a qualitative component to this,
Mm-hmm.
and the qualitative component to this is what does it mean to me?
Mm-hmm.
I can show that with finances. Hey, I want to be able to vacation in Cabo in my 60s. I need this much money. Here's what it produces, and then you can make it happen. Here's the numbers. But like the qualitative stuff to me is, I think, what majority of people care about. That's the truth, right? There's not many people like me as there is people like the client that I mentioned or your client, the ones that buy more for emotion. And this problem that I'm trying to solve with helping people move the wealth needle
Mm-hmm.
has to start with moving the needle in their mindset,
Mm-hmm.
but in a way that they can feel comfortable with it. So I think it's very unique. Like it's case by case. Every person's going to be different. But what's some of the things that you think can be addressed in this world right now where people are having this disconnect? They're having this disconnect of I want to be wealthy, I want to do these
Mm-hmm.
things, but I also want to, do something else. I want to have this bigger house than I can afford, or I want to have these bigger cars. What like does it make sense what I'm saying? I'm probably like talking a little bit on a tangent, but I hope
Yeah.
you get what I'm trying to say.
So if I'm understanding you correctly, to be able to transmit a message to somebody who's not a number driven person, an analytical person, is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, like transmit to the masses that like,
Okay,
hey,
so
this is something that
there's
you can
four
do.
types of people. Okay, there's analyticals, people who are based off numbers, based off data. There's expressives, people who go on long tangents. You talk to these clients and they'll talk a storm, right?
Hmm.
You ask a question, they talk for 10 minutes.
Yes.
There's an expressive, they start talking about their family and stuff. They're expressive. There's amiables who are really tapped into their emotions and what that means for them and what that means for their family and what that means to the greater good.
Hmm.
And then there's drivers, which can be somewhat analytical. You give the driver a number that makes sense and he's pulling
They're
the
ready
trigger.
to roll.
They don't even need to ask questions.
Yep.
They don't need to ask, all the intricacies of the numbers. They're ready to make a decision.
Right.
And so as a consultant, as a professional, I think it's really important to identify who you have in front of you first. What of those four qualities is, so that the message you portray is always the same, but the way you say it is different. The message is the same, the way you say it is different. I would not go on a presentation about data and numbers and figures and percentages and stuff with someone who is amiable, with someone who is expressive, with someone who's a driver. The driver will be fed up. The expressive will probably lose their time frame of thinking is very low.
Yeah. They
Probably
want to talk. They're
kind
ready to roll.
it's
They're
kind of
like,
like mine. They're like ready to cut you off.
yeah.
And then the amiable is more like, honey, like, what does that mean for my retirement? What does that mean for my grandsons? What is that? Like, that's where the message has to be a bit different.
Yep.
Because the data is the same. It makes sense, but how are we catering the message to what's important to them?
Yep.
And so that's how I would be able to transmit the message to the masses by first analyzing who you're talking to, who that client is, and how we can best relay the message to them so it makes sense to them as well.
Change the message. Adapt the message.
Mm-hmm. It's just putting a different flow into the message.
Yep.
That's all it is.
That's great stuff, man. I love that. I think that's anybody can practice that in their business,
Mm-hmm.
mine included, right? Like I need to adapt my message based off of the person that I'm in front of. So my message is very right now very strategic. But anybody, right?
If
Whether you're in
Mary,
the
who is a grandma and she loves her grandkids and she visits her sons and bakes them cookies every week, comes through to your office, you're gonna probably that'd be the first thing that comes out of my spits out of my mouth is the first thing. I'm like, oh my god, how are the grandkids? How's the family doing? Like,
yep.
how's everything going? I know last time you baked some cookies, you bring me some cookies, stuff like that. Mary's your client now,
Mm-hmm.
without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even have to say the numbers. Sometimes the numbers don't even have to make the total sense.
You know
She's
what's
your client
funny? It's funny you say that too, because I'm naturally a talkative person. I love people.
now. Mm-hmm.
But lately what I've noticed is like I build good relationships with people,
Mm-hmm.
but yet I don't do a good job at like identifying what kind of clients are a good fit for what we're trying to do.
Yeah,
Because our type of strategy is not for everybody, right? Like
absolutely. Yeah.
we're literally like the quarterback of your financial plan.
Mm-hmm.
Some people just can't have that. Some people
Mm-hmm.
want to be the quarterback, they want to control
Mm-hmm.
everything. The best way that I can explain what I do is you when you want to build a house, you hire a GC.
Mm-hmm.
And you hire the GC not because he's going to be the plumber and the electrician and the guy that puts the roof and the guy that puts the HVAC,
Of
but he's the
course.
guy that understands all those moving parts and can equip the team together. And maybe he's really good at electricity and plumbing and that's his trade, but he's still going to have other bodies in doing that.
Mm-hmm.
What I do as a professional is I basically am the general contractor of somebody's financial house. They're what they're building.
Mm-hmm.
So my job now we have some stuff that we do in house. We have wealth management, we have insurance, we have mortgage lending. But the other stuff, the estate planning, the real estate side,
Mm-hmm.
the tax planning,
Mm-hmm.
those things we have professionals that we partner with, and so some individuals want somebody to just point them in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
Other individuals want somebody to handle everything.
Mm-hmm.
Our kind of client is a person that wants us to handle everything
Mm-hmm.
and basically help them move the wealth needle because good or bad, we have more expertise and knowledge in moving that.
Mm-hmm.
Not every client wants to surrender that. And so I've had to get very contentional about my business
Mm-hmm.
where I have to turn people away,
Mm-hmm.
but I also I have a very like I'm just passionate about helping the individual that doesn't necessarily fit my kind of client book, but I know deep down wants to change. They want to make some changes in their life, and I'm trying to figure out a way to get a message to those individuals to help them eventually become kinds of clients like mine.
Okay.
And it's a very
That's
noble
that's gonna
cause.
be a very hard business.
100%. And that's what the whole point of this podcast is all
uh,
about. Is
yeah.
like this is a way for me to just give that language, talk about it, maybe give some free advice. There's no monetization on this. I mean, not yet at least until
Mm-hmm.
it maybe grows one day, but for now it's about getting the message of like anybody can be wealthy. Anybody can move the wealth needle.
Mm-hmm.
Here are the things that you need to change. You talked about them,
Mm-hmm.
right? Having the discipline, changing the mindset. What's your thoughts about money? And then once you have those resources in place, then we can have a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Then we can get down to the nitty gritty.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's my mission, man.
Yeah,
That's
no,
what I'm
it's
trying to do.
beautiful, and I think your message will always cater to whoever's willing.
Yes,
People need to be willing to do
100%.
something, and if they're willing, then naturally the right people are going to connect with you. At the end of the day, you're not here. You would love to help enlighten people to think a certain way, but at the end of the day, people need to be willing, and this is surface level what I'm saying, but in a deeper level, like if you don't do something for yourself, like no one's going to do nothing for you. You can have everything in front of you.
Facts.
You can have the roadmap in front of you. But if you don't decide to wake up and change something for yourself, no one is going to wake up and change something for you ever. So it's beautiful. It's beautiful to be able to give people a perspective because sometimes it's just a hint. Maybe it's something that has been said here that makes them think a little bit different. And just one little thing can really change a life
Facts.
for sure.
Well said, brother. Well said. Uh, let's transition into a little bit about what you got going on. You got a couple different ventures. So
Mm-hmm.
you have IE Realtors.
Mm-hmm.
So unpack that for us a little bit. Tell us what's the plans. Like,
Yeah,
what
so
do you guys do? What's that about?
the IE Realtors is a real estate um, page on Instagram. It's ran by myself and my business partner Jessica Alvarado, real estate agent as well. We started the channel probably a year and change ago, a year and a half ago. Honestly, with other social media guys that do real estate as well, we saw them have some success. We saw it as an opportunity for the future at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, now it's like full circle. Everyone does it nowadays, but It's worked really well, but I think the biggest mission with Jessica and I was that we came from a brokerage that was heavily reliant on production and heavily reliant on skills more than anything. And so I think we both found like an enlightenment moment where we said, you know what, there's this space to get clients at a mass level with leads and stuff like that. And the difference that's going to make us between everyone else is that we have skill sets that I genuinely believe that are far different than anyone else's.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's where we saw an opportunity. And then as the business grew, I think now the biggest goal is just to continue to expand, do more transactions, and ultimately provide it as a resource for other realtors, especially new coming realtors, to start to really produce and provide leads and really become our own Zillow in a way. I know it sounds crazy, but that's really what the goal
Yeah. No, I
is
mean,
to see it as passive for Jessica and I.
what's the what do you think the future of real estate is with everything happening now? AI
Well,
implementing.
yeah, I mean, I definitely think technology is going to continue to, blast into real estate. AI is not only going to, facilitate the job of the real estate agent, but it's going to really, really expand, the opportunity for people like that are in the space with social media and are just getting tons of leads. And I'm telling you, tons of leads that sometimes even go unanswered, like seriously. And
Don't tell me that.
yeah,
Don't say that on live.
no, it's true. I mean, in all reality, the pond is humongous.
Yeah.
And so when people tell you about like the market and stuff like that, I mean, you have agents that are producing at a very, very high level, and then you have agents that are not. And the reality is that the sales process for the agent that's not is not the same as the agent who is. It always comes down to a marketing thing. How many people are you touching every single day? 20 people is not going to be enough. I've done it. I ran an operation, was making my calls, my contacts 20, 30 a day. That does not compare to
Yeah.
hundreds, thousands of people that you're touching a day. Naturally, your business is going to create more production, more result.
Right. And then having a way to capture that business, having a good
A
offer, a
system.
good system in place. Absolutely.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? The systems that you guys use?
Yeah, so we for Instagram and how we automate and stuff like that, we're heavily reliant on our CRM. Shout out to Jesse from JTech. We use JTech.
We use JTech too.
Yeah, JTech's a great system to automate responses to clients and stuff like that. And then the biggest system of it all is us, our ability to call a client and convert a client and
Yes.
to be able to help a client and cater an offer. You could say a quote unquote offer, but an offer is what's available, what's suitable to them. We're getting information from them based on what they've told us, what fits what they need.
Yeah, I call that human capital, right? Having a human capital intensive business. There's businesses that aren't very human capital intensive,
Mm-hmm.
marketing businesses, right? Like drop shipping, all that. You just get it going and then it's on automate.
Oh
And
yeah.
then there's human capital businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, AI is never going to get rid of those
Mm-hmm.
fully because there's always going to be individuals that are just outperformers and that can outperform whatever the market demands and creativity. But I do think to kind of go back to the question of what's going on with the real estate market, I look at this as a really unique point in time in history where you're going to see a big divide
Mm-hmm.
of the producers and the not producers.
Mm-hmm.
And to your point, you're going to capture more and more and more business. Those kinds of individuals are going to continue to capture until they're literally it's not that there won't be opportunities for the other individual,
Mm-hmm.
but what'll happen is the difference of service will be so far out that it's just not going to make sense for. And we see this with like Amazon. You saw this with Apple. You saw this with Google,
Yeah, well,
right?
market share is definitely shifting now,
Market share continues to continue to consolidate,
and I know
um,
that. I
and
know
and
that
you're seeing
because
it in real
of the
time.
people I'm seeing. Like, there's agents who have been around for 20 years in the '08s to '012s. Whenever that period of time, they were selling a ton of
Yeah,
real
they were
estate.
just moving. It was like
And I
moving
asked these vets, right, these
cocaina.
OGs, like, dude, you're telling me you sold 60, 70 houses on your own, and now they're selling 10 houses?
I've met them. I've
And
worked
it's
with them.
like,
I've done open houses with them. They're great people.
I tell sellers the same thing. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, OG has sold 300 homes, but his sales were in 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Let's look at his sales in the last 10 years, in the last 5 years.
I'm so glad you hit that point because that's exactly what I wanted to ask that question because the real estate market is shifting and people need to be aware of what are the things that you need to start looking at for your agent moving forward.
Absolutely.
There's a
Yeah.
different skill set now that's needed that wasn't needed 10 years ago.
Hmm.
What do you think some of those skill sets are?
Well, the real estate was a skilled based business.
Yeah.
Probably 10 years ago. I would say between that 2020, sub 2020, it was a skills based business.
And I want to give context to that. When you say skills, it was like people skills, sales
Yeah,
skills,
we're talking about sales
conversational.
skills. We're
Right.
talking about role plays. We're talking about real estate knowledge. We're talking about all that,
Okay.
right? People skills, all that door to door stuff. Like, sorry, I'm not even going to door to door,
Damn, bro, hating on door to door
but
already.
it was a skills based business, and the way the economy has changed now is that right now we are in an attention economy in
Mm-hmm.
any business, and so you
Amen.
capture attention and you mix skills. You're just not going to lose in business.
Yeah.
You're just not going to lose. Look at all the people that are doing really well. Sometimes they'll post the craziest shit ever. Sometimes it doesn't even have anything to do with real estate. But what are they grasping? They're grasping attention.
Yep.
And once those people capture clients and they're skilled, those clients turn into revenue, turn into profits for
It's
their companies, right?
it's insane to me. I actually have a client right now that she's I don't want to give too much information about her, but I won't give her handle, but she's 19 years old.
Mm-hmm.
She's very, very big on TikTok, million plus
Mm-hmm.
followers.
Mm-hmm.
Big on Instagram, big on Facebook. No YouTube yet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she probably generates 30 to 40 thousand dollars a month
Mm-hmm.
just from the attention.
They
And
they
most of
times have
the
changed.
and what's crazy to me is most of the profit doesn't even come from a product. It doesn't come from a service. It literally comes from the paid views.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it's like we're working on tapping into more of that
Mm-hmm.
and donations.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Well, you have to look into what the new economy is. It's an
Yes,
attention economy.
we 100% live
It's
in an attention
literally
economy.
everywhere. Think about anywhere you can think of. Right now, it's all about viewership. It's all about
Yes.
attention. It's all about what's happening in the world here, what's happening in the world there. That we're dominated by this idea.
Yep.
Yeah, like think about it. You really got to think about it. The top salesmen back in the day were OGs that fucking like were like killers on the phones,
Yep.
killers on door to door. Like even today, some of these OGs sound really good.
Yeah, they're still
It's like
good. I
OG,
mean, they can produce,
but
but
then you got 19, 20 year olds coming in here and fucking a million views on TikTok, and they got
grab it all
8
up.
clients this week.
Yep.
You know, and
Absorbing it up.
and that's just what it is. And so that's why I'm sharing with you. When you can mix both, that's when you become lethal, in my opinion.
Yes. Skill set versus understanding how to get that. And I think a good way to explain that, I'm a big believer in energy.
Mm-hmm.
Your energy goes like energy. God gave us energy,
Mm-hmm.
and that energy can be created inside of you. It can be created in the world, and where you spend that energy is that energy goes somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And if you really want to like break down what money is just energy.
Sure.
At the end of the day,
Exactly.
it's not something that I want to hold. Like, I don't want to hold money. I want to give that energy to something else that's going to produce more energy, right? Hence, give money, produce more money. So if you just think about it from an energy perspective, people are giving their time and energy to watch you because that's what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I think most people in today's day and age that have a business, they want to do something like for even for me, I'm kind of a culprit of this as well. I'm creating financial content, right? I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to put out there education. I'm trying to help people understand that anybody can be a millionaire. And the energy that I'm putting out is genuine. The problem is right now we live in an era where people want things more instant and they want to feel good.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're going to give you that energy, they're going to give you their time and
Mm-hmm.
energy, then you have to be able to give them and deliver something that is worth their energy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's
There we
not
go.
just there's no guarantee.
There we go.
Like just because I post content doesn't guarantee that anybody's gonna watch it, no matter how great it is.
Mm-hmm.
What's your take on that? Like if you're talking with somebody who wants to build their business in today in 2025,
Mm-hmm.
what are some of the key components that you need to have in order to grab attention?
In order to grab attention,
And if you don't want to be too generic,
uh-huh.
if you want to be specific to real estate, then just talk specifically about real estate, whatever you're comfortable with.
Yeah, no, I mean, man, you made a strong point. And I think as we're transitioning into an era where it's more the internet, technology, the AI,
Yeah.
and so many people are just gravitating onto a freaking cellular device. More than anything, the biggest market of opportunity aside from AI, I think in the next few years is going to be like personal development because people are going to want to feel good.
Yeah.
They're going to be going through this bubble of of something that's almost make believe in a way of the
Yeah.
false reality of what life is.
We are not
And so
hardwired to live that way.
they're 100% going to be tapping into sources that allow them to feel normal, allow
Yep.
them to feel good, allow them to feel accepted in
Yep.
society. And so when I share with you, when you ask, um, what's going to be that difference maker that allows the brand new agent to gravitate clients, to gravitate energy, is what you said
Mm-hmm.
specifically. I think it's all going to come down to that and make sure that I'm sharing with you, especially if they're young. If a young person sounds like an OG in terms of his skill set, and he's utilizing the resources he has now, which is technology, which is the social medias, which is his or her advancements in that kind of stuff. I think that's what's going to make all the difference. I mean, I see it. That there's people in my own office that are 20, 19 years old. I remember when I was at the bank and I was 22 years old, I didn't even have $10,000 in my bank account. And we got these 19-year-olds like making $10,000, $30,000 a month. Are you kidding me? Like, that is nuts to me. That is nuts. And so when you go back to this first part of the podcast where we're talking about mortgage payments and stuff like that, it's a lack of adapting to what's actually the real world now. Yesterday's practice might not be today's, and whether they take this as you should or shouldn't go to school, that's not what this message is about. It's about adapting to what is actually today's economy, today's way of living.
I'm solutions driven. So like my thought when you say that is, well, what's the solution? Do we just tell everybody to start their own businesses? Is that the right way to go about the new world? I'm for sure down with that because I starting my business was the
Has it
greatest thing
never
I've
been
ever
that
done.
time?
It's There's never been a bad time to start a business.
Has that never been the answer?
No. I mean, America is founded on business. I mean, what's the small business size like?
Ask anyone in the
30%?
audience who are the wealthiest people they know within their circle. Do they
Business
have
owners.
businesses?
There's always business owners.
So what more do you need to know?
Yep. So
What's
then,
that secret we're hiding?
yeah,
There's the
there's no
secret.
secret. There's a secret,
There's the
guys. There's
secret.
no secret. So start your business and take care of your health, take care of your wealth, take care of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
If you take care of those three things and you have a business that you can align with and give your energy to, there's literally nothing that can stop you.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be hard times. Trust me, I've been through them. Mark, I'm sure you've been through them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no such thing as like a straight level path.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want that because then you're not battle tested.
Mm-hmm.
I've been through some of the hardest years of my life starting this business, and
Mm-hmm.
I would not change anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the big thing right now is let's kind of segue into some health, wealth, and self frameworks. I want to talk about health.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to talk about yours. I'll talk a little bit about mine as well. As like,
Mm-hmm.
what are some of the things that you do to stay healthy? And what are some of the advice like for you? What do you do to stay sharp mentally, balance your health at work, with all the work that you have?
Yeah, I mean, health is number one. Without health, you don't have a business. Without health, you don't have money. Without health, you don't have opportunities. Nothing. So, um, that is seriously number one. And so that starts, every single day. Whatever you do to help you feel good, that's what you need to do. And for me, it could be working out in the morning. For me, it could be meditating. For me, it could be writing in a journal. For me, it could be listening to content that fills my mind with positive stuff. You have the choice to fill yourself with positive stuff or fill yourself with shit, and you decide.
100%.
Every day you decide, right? And so it all starts with that, honestly. I mean, your mind, the only thing you can't control is your mind. You can't even control your health, but you can control your mind.
Yeah, man. I don't know how. Maybe we'll just drop a scripture here real quick, but like, there's a scripture that talks about your brain is what feeds your heart, and your heart does the desire of the heart. You can't control your heart, believe it or not,
Mm.
but you can control what thoughts you give that heart. And so I think that's really unique that you said that too, because most people want to just try and like just cram it and just make it work. But it starts with a mental shift of how you view yourself. What are the thoughts that you deep down tell yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Why can't I get up to go to the gym? Well, maybe because the thoughts you tell yourself in the morning is that yeah, you said that you're gonna go, but in the night, in the morning when you're waking up, like, or deep down when you go to bed, you're like, "Ah, but I already know myself. I'm not gonna do it."
Oh
Like,
yeah,
that's self doubt.
that's real. That's actually really
It,
real. That's something I do every single night.
it's a
I tell
struggle.
my, I tell myself that every single night when I set my alarm at 4. I'm like, fuck, that's the first thing that pops up in my mind. I'm like, fuck, it's already
4 in the
late.
morning. Yeah, it's like 11 o'clock.
But
You're like
I
you're calculating how many
seriously
hours.
tell myself, this is real shit what you just said. I seriously tell myself every night when I set that alarm, because I always do it. I don't automatic. I do it on purpose so that I can see that I'm setting this alarm. And the first thing I tell myself is I'm gonna wake up full of fucking energy.
Yep.
That's the first thing I tell myself. Do I wake up full of energy? Fuck no. But I tell myself every single night, I'm gonna wake up good. I'm gonna wake up full of energy. Like even if I get 4 hours sleep, I'm gonna wake up full of energy.
Mm.
Your thoughts lead to your feelings lead to your emotions lead to your actions.
Yep. And how you feel, right? If you feel good, right? Look good, feel good, play good,
Yeah.
right? So like I work from home a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and when I first started working from home, I was wearing basketball shorts and I had my nice button up because I was on Zoom.
Yeah.
And dude, my performance was shit.
Yeah.
Like I would be on Zoom calls and I had no energy. I was like not feeling great. And then I started actually dressing and like literally I made it
What's
to
that?
where if somebody hits me up, if Mark says, "Hey bro, let's grab lunch," I could literally walk out of my door in 5 minutes. I don't have to change. I gotta do nothing. I'm ready to
Yeah.
roll. And like I practice that now in my life. Feel
It's
good is
little
the
stuff.
first part,
Mm-hmm.
right? Feel good is also exercising, going to the gym, being physical, feeling good. Look good, right? Goes back to the dressing, right? Dress how you want, right? Everyone has their style. Like, don't. I'm a big believer. Like, I'm not gonna adapt because the fashion. Like, I'm not a big fashion person. You might have more fashion than I do,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm gonna feel good in what I'm wearing,
Mm-hmm.
and then you'll play good, right? You'll be able to have better conversations, and like, it's the little things like
It's
that.
always a little thing.
You know,
It's always a little
show up to the day,
thing.
give the day your best, and because if you don't, and then you complain about why it's not working out, there's your answer. It's like
Mm-hmm.
you're not even giving yourself the basics of doing what you need to do.
Yeah, I agree.
Um,
Fully.
one other thing I wanted to talk about was the your ability to like overcome adversity. How often do you deal with adversity? And this is probably a trick question because you're a real estate agent, you get adversity every day. You probably get yelled at, you get people cussing you out. But what are some of the things that you do to train yourself to overcome some of that adversity, or like to overcome like somebody you're not a door knocker, but like making a phone call and then they're like, "Fuck off, Mark. I don't want to talk to you," or like they send you a shitty text. Some people struggle with that. I think that's a big thing. A lot of people don't like rejection, but if you want to be in the business world, you're gonna have to take rejection.
Absolutely.
What are some things that you do to deal with that?
It comes with reps. It always comes with reps. It always comes with reps. Starting in this business, I remember like there could be the smallest issue, and that issue would affect me for a day. Honestly,
Mm.
that I'm gonna be fully transparent. Some of those times, like I remember, little things would affect me for a day,
Yeah,
and
I've been
so
there. That was the same thing.
a day, even multiple days. Honestly, sometimes it would affect me for multiple days. I was like, oh man, you play that card right, but I think the biggest question I think you need to ask yourself, or the answer to that question, really is how quickly can you move on to the next task? Because with business, you're only like you get a new opportunity every time you talk to somebody else.
Mm.
That's how I see it now. The person I talk to next has no idea what the fuck just happened. Whether they told me to screw myself, whether they told me they're not interested, whether they told me never call me again, whatever the case may be, the next person doesn't even know that happened to you. But if you walk with that face of shame, what do you think is going to happen to the next person?
Yep.
He's going to feel that.
Yep.
And so your ability to really like not react to stuff like that and become numb to that kind of stuff allows you to continue to move your needle forward. And I think that's probably the number one reason why most people don't even prospect, why most people don't even try to reach out to people, because of their fear of rejection. That's why.
Same day, man. It happened to me. You know,
Mm.
I went through the same exact struggles, and if there's anything that I learned from going through that is that rejection literally lives in your head. Literally. If you like I exact thing, right? You get rejected, it happens, you end up dealing with it, somebody tells you something,
Mm-hmm.
you're already walking to the next person in your head that they're gonna reject you. So they're gonna reject you.
Oh, they
So
for
like
sure are.
you just said, and like I just learned like I tried to like teach myself different tricks of like how to trick my brain
Mm-hmm.
to like to stop being so afraid of like what's the next thing that could happen. Because the worst thing that can happen is another rejection. That's literally the worst thing, unless somebody pulls out a knife tries to stab you. Like that's the only other thing, right? But that never happens. So yeah, stop like don't be in your head. You
Yeah.
know, be in your best self and continue to reiterate that in your mind.
Yeah.
That's
Easy.
a little self trick that you can use. And then physical wise, just staying sharp. What else, man? I mean, what are some things that you deal with on a daily basis, like, or even like, have you had a deal where it's fallen apart? How did that affect you emotionally? How did you bounce back from that?
In recent times, I really can't think about it. To be honest, I think in terms of being a real estate agent and deals falling apart, I think that's a natural cause. It's a natural cause for you to have some deals that just don't flow through, and for a lot of us, I think that's where the biggest difference is that we're emotionally attached to these businesses, to these clients, to these transactions, to these checks, whatever
Yeah,
the case
you're
may be,
involved.
versus being emotionally invested. It's about being emotionally invested in your business, not attached. Don't be attached to the outcomes.
Mm,
Be invested in your business
that's really
and,
good.
and what you're able to provide and what you're able to do on your end. Control your controllables and let God do the rest. That's what I can
Amen,
say to
brother.
that.
I can't think of a better way to end it, man. That was well said. I got nothing else. I mean, I'll end it with I want to start ending these with like one piece of advice for every guest.
Mm-hmm.
So you're the first guest, so you're gonna have the floor. Basically, it's just what's one piece of advice, and we'll stay on the topic of homeownership. What's one piece of advice that you can give somebody right now that feels like home ownership is impossible?
That feels like home ownership is impossible. I guess the first thing is assess where you're at. Like I mentioned, assess where you're at. Talk to a real estate professional. Get the questions that you need
Mm.
answered, and give yourself an opportunity to see whether you're ready or not. The worst case scenario is you're not ready and you have a plan. The best case scenario is you're ready and you buy a house. You owe it to yourself to give yourself an opportunity. That's all I got
And I know a real estate agent, guys, if you're looking for one.
to say.
But yeah, that takes it. I appreciate you being on here, man. Thank
Cool.
you so much for
Thank
the
you for
time.
having me.
It's been a pleasure, brother.
All right,
And thank you guys so much for listening. And we'll see you guys on the next one.
let's get it.